The ship Unity glided through space, its engines humming softly. Commander John Walker stood tall on the bridge, his hands resting calmly behind his back, his sharp eyes focused on the massive structure ahead, the Galactic Council headquarters. It looked like a shining wheel floating in space, spinning slowly over the quiet planet Virex 9. Lights blinked along its edges like stars trapped in metal. "We are 5 minutes from docking," announced Lieutenant Sarah Holt. "Good," John said. His voice was steady. Inside he felt the pressure. This mission was the most important of his life. Humanity's future depended on what would happen here. The Unity slowed down as it approached Docking Bay 3. All around them ships of many shapes and colors moved like busy insects. Some were small and fast. Others were huge and heavy, glowing with strange energy. Every ship carried leaders, diplomats, and negotiators from different parts of the galaxy. John turned to look at his team. There were 6 of them, the best Earth had to offer. Some were military officers, some were scientists, and others were trained diplomats. They all wore the same silver and blue uniforms with Earth's symbol on their chests, a simple globe wrapped in olive branches. He spoke clearly and firmly. "Remember why we are here. We represent Earth. We will not be bullied or tricked. Stay calm, stay proud." They nodded, serious and silent. The ship shuddered slightly as it locked onto the docking bay. A light blinked green above the main door. It was time. John led his team down the ramp. The docking bay was a giant room made of shining black floors and high glass walls. Aliens of all kinds filled the space. Some were tall with scales that shimmered. Some were short with large, bright eyes. Strange smells and soft alien music floated in the air. Languages from 100 worlds echoed across the halls. A slim figure approached them, wearing a long golden robe. Its skin was smooth and green, its eyes sharp and blue. "Commander John Walker?" it asked in smooth English. "That's me," John said. "I am Envoy Lyra of the Council. Welcome to Virex 9. Please follow me." Without waiting, Lyra turned and walked swiftly through the crowd. John and his team followed closely. They passed through wide hallways lined with banners showing different worlds and empires. Everywhere beings whispered and stared at the humans. Some looked curious. Others looked wary. John kept his face calm. He knew many in the council feared humanity's sudden rise. Earth had grown fast. Their technology was powerful. Their people were bold. Some allies wanted Earth's help. Others saw them as a threat. Soon they reached the heart of the station, the Grand Council chamber. It was a huge circular room with a high glass dome. In the center stood a round table, with hundreds of seats. Each seat held a representative of a different world. The air buzzed with tension. At the far end of the room, sitting in a tall silver chair, was High Consul Virex Tharn. He was thin, with sharp features and eyes like cold steel. He watched John approach with a face that showed no emotion. "Commander Walker," Virex said, his voice deep and smooth. "We welcome Earth to the final round of negotiations." John nodded respectfully. "We are honored to be here," he said. But inside he stayed alert. Virex was known for being clever, dangerous, and ruthless. John and his team took their seats. Papers and screens were placed in front of them. Across the table, alien delegates whispered and exchanged quick glances. The talks were about to begin. John knew the council wanted something from Earth, something they could not take by force. But he also knew he would not let humanity's future be sold for false promises. He took a slow, steady breath. Whatever came next, he was ready. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as High Consul Virex Tharn stood. His long silver robe flowed around him as he raised one hand to call the meeting to order. Hundreds of alien delegates turned their attention to him, and the air became thick with tension. Virex's voice was calm but powerful. "Today we offer Earth a place among the great civilizations of the galaxy. Together we can bring peace, order, and progress to all." John Walker listened carefully. He knew pretty words often hid sharp knives. Virex continued. In exchange for your full membership, Earth will share its latest technologies, particularly your advancements in defense, energy, and terraforming. In return, the Council will offer Earth security, trade opportunities, and a voice in galactic affairs. A soft murmur spread around the chamber. Some delegates looked pleased. Others glanced at John with cautious eyes, waiting for his reaction. John leaned forward slightly. "And if we refuse to share these technologies?" he asked, his voice steady. Vrex's lips curled into a thin smile. Refusal would be unwise. Earth would remain isolated. Without Council protection, smaller worlds or rival factions might seek to take what you have by other means. It was a threat, hidden behind polite words. John kept his face blank. He felt the anger in his chest, but he pushed it down. Emotions could not rule here. He tapped his fingers lightly on the table. "Earth values peace," he said. "But we do not trade our freedom for safety. We will consider your offer carefully." Vrex's smile faded slightly. "We expect a decision soon, Commander. Delay could be dangerous." John nodded, saying nothing more. The meeting dragged on as other Council members spoke. Some supported the offer. Others hinted that Earth's refusal would weaken the Council's strength against unknown threats in distant sectors. It became clear to John that most of the Council did not care about fairness. They saw Earth as a resource, something to control. After hours of careful words and hidden warnings, Vrex finally adjourned the meeting. "We will reconvene tomorrow. Use this time to reflect, Commander Walker." John rose from his seat, motioning to his team. They left the chamber together, walking through the polished halls back toward their assigned quarters. When they were alone, John finally spoke. "Well," he said dryly, "they want everything and offer almost nothing." Lieutenant Sarah Holt shook her head. "It's a bad deal. We can't agree to this." Dr. Malik Reyes, their science advisor, looked worried. "But if we walk away, we might be left without any allies." John paused in front of their quarters. "Better to be alone and free," he said, "than to be controlled and used." Inside, the quarters were simple but comfortable. White walls, soft lights, and a table where they could meet in private. John sat down heavily and stared at the documents they had been given, full of legal terms designed to trap them. He knew the choice would not be easy. Earth was still young among the stars. Enemies could come if they stood alone, but if they bowed now, they might never stand tall again. John clenched his fists. The Council wanted Earth's strength, but none of its freedom. They underestimated humanity. They thought fear would make them weak. They were wrong. Tomorrow John would make his move. But tonight he would prepare. He would not let Earth's future be stolen without a fight. The walls of the meeting room were quiet witnesses to the tension inside. Commander John Walker sat at the head of the table. His team gathered around him. They had spread out the Council's treaty documents, maps, and notes. The room was brightly lit, but the mood was heavy. "We need to talk," John said simply. He looked around at the faces of his team. Each of them was loyal to Earth, but their ideas on how to move forward were not the same. Lieutenant Sarah Holt spoke first. "Commander, this deal is a trap. If we give them our technology, they'll never stop taking. Today it's energy systems. Tomorrow it's weapons. After that, maybe even our leadership." John nodded. He agreed with her, but he wanted to hear everyone out. Dr. Malik Reyes shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "I understand the risks," he said. "But if we reject the Council, Earth could be isolated. Think about what that means. No access to trade, no allies, no warnings about dangers from outside. Can we really afford to stand alone?" Commander Walker leaned back in his chair, hands clasped. "Standing alone is dangerous," he admitted. "But so is becoming a puppet." Ambassador Leah Chen, the oldest and most experienced diplomat among them, spoke carefully. "There might be a middle way. Maybe we can negotiate better terms. Offer small parts of our technology. Keep the important things secret." John shook his head slightly. "The Council knows exactly what they want, and they won't settle for scraps." The team fell silent for a moment, Only the soft hum of the station's life support systems filled the air. Finally, Captain Arjun Patel, their military advisor, spoke bluntly. "Commander, you know what this is. It's a power play. They don't respect us. They fear us. If we show weakness now, we'll lose everything." John's jaw tightened. He stood up and walked slowly to the window. Outside, the stars looked cold and far away. He thought about Earth, about the billions of people back home, trusting him to make the right decision. He thought about the scientists, the farmers, the teachers, the children, people who deserved a future of their own choosing, not one controlled by distant alien rulers. He turned back to his team. "We are not here to beg for a seat at their table," he said firmly. "We are not here to sell Earth's soul for comfort." His voice was steady but strong. "We are here to show them that humanity stands free. If they want true partnership, they must treat us as equals. If they don't, we walk away." Sarah smiled slightly. Malik looked uncertain but said nothing. Leah sighed, knowing negotiation would be nearly impossible now. Arjun gave a sharp nod of approval. "We decide together," John said. "Are we united?" One by one they nodded. The decision was made. Tomorrow they would face the council again, and this time John would make it clear, Earth would not be bullied, whatever the consequences. Commander John Walker sat alone in the quiet meeting room. The lights were dim, casting long shadows across the walls. His team had returned to their quarters for some rest, but John stayed behind. He knew this silence would not last long. A soft chime sounded at the door. "Enter," John said. The door slid open, and in walked High Consul Vrexthun. He was alone, without his usual assistants or guards. His silver robe flowed behind him as he moved with quiet confidence. "Commander Walker," Vrex said smoothly, his sharp eyes studying John. "May I sit?" John nodded, cautious. "Of course." Vrex sat across from him. For a moment neither spoke. Then Vrex placed a small device on the table. A light blinked softly. "A privacy shield," Vrex explained. "No one can hear us now." John leaned back slightly. "What do you want, Consul?" Vrex gave a thin smile. "I want to offer you a better deal. One that does not involve public speeches or embarrassing negotiations." John raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." Vrex's voice lowered. "If Earth agrees to share specific technologies, your energy cores, your shield generators, we will ensure Earth's protection. You will have exclusive trade routes, influence within the Council, power." John kept his face unreadable. "And in return we give up our most valuable knowledge." Vrex shrugged lightly. "You would still have your independence in appearance, at least. In truth, you would become part of something greater." "Greater for who?" John asked coldly. Vrex's eyes narrowed. "You are young among the stars, Commander. Strong, yes, but untested. Without allies, you will face dangers you cannot imagine. Piracy, invasion, extinction. Isolated worlds do not survive long." John stared at Vrex for a long moment. "I appreciate your honesty, Consul," John said, his voice calm. "But Earth did not fight its battles to become someone else's tool." Vrex's smile faded. His voice turned harder. "Be careful, Walker. Pride can destroy as quickly as war." John stood up slowly. "So can greed." The two men locked eyes. No words were needed. Each understood the other perfectly. Vrex rose too, adjusting his robe. "The Council will not wait forever." John nodded. "Neither will Earth." Without another word, Vrex turned and walked out of the room, his footsteps echoing softly. John sat down again, his heart steady. The offer had been clear. Surrender quietly and enjoy false power, or stand firm and risk everything. He knew now what had to be done. Tomorrow, in front of the entire Council, he would give his answer, and Earth's true strength would be seen. The Grand Council chamber was full. Every seat was taken. Alien leaders from hundreds of worlds watched the center stage, where a single silver podium waited. Above, the glass dome showed the stars, silent witnesses to what would happen today. Commander John Walker stood at the edge of the room, his team close behind him. His uniform was crisp, his badge shining under the lights. His heart beat steadily. He had made his decision. Now it was time to speak it out loud. A gong sounded, deep and slow. High Consul Vrex Tharn walked to the center and raised his hands for silence. The murmur of voices faded. "We are gathered here," Vrex said, "to hear Earth's response to the Council's generous offer. We trust they will choose wisely." He stepped aside and gestured for John to approach. John walked to the podium. Every eye in the room followed him. Some looked curious, others hopeful, and a few cold and sharp. John placed his hands firmly on the podium and spoke in a clear voice. "Leaders of the Galactic Council," he began, "I stand here not just as a representative of Earth, but as a voice for its future." He paused, letting the words settle. "We have listened to your terms, we understand your offer, and after careful thought, Earth has decided." A ripple of movement stirred through the chamber. John continued, steady and sure, "We will not surrender our technology. We will not trade our independence. We will not be part of any council that sees us as a prize to be claimed." The room grew colder. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. Others whispered. John pressed on. "Earth seeks true partnership, built on respect, trust, and equality. Not fear, not pressure. If those values are not offered, then Earth will walk alone." Gasps echoed across the chamber. Even Vrex's calm mask cracked for a second. John finished, his voice strong and final. "Today we choose freedom over comfort, dignity over fear. Earth withdraws from these talks, effective immediately." He stepped back from the podium. The chamber erupted, some shouting in anger, others calling for calm. Some species representatives stood to applaud quietly, while others stormed out. Vrex stepped forward, trying to regain control. His voice cut through the noise. "Commander Walker, you risk isolation. You risk war." John met his gaze without fear. "Then let it come. Earth will stand." Without waiting for permission, John turned and walked away from the center. His team fell in behind him, silent and proud. As they left the grand chamber, John felt no regret. Whatever came next, Earth would face it on their own terms. Outside the chamber, the corridors buzzed with confusion and fear. Whispers chased them as they made their way back to the docking bay. But John did not look back. The hardest part was done. The future was theirs to shape now. The Grand Council chamber was no longer a place of calm discussion. It had exploded into chaos the moment John Walker and his team left. Alien delegates shouted over one another. Some demanded immediate action against Earth. Others pleaded for a second chance to bring the humans back. The room that once showed strength now revealed fear and weakness. High Consul Vrex Tharn stood at the center, struggling to bring order. His hands were raised, his voice loud, but the delegates barely listened. "This is unacceptable," roared a large horned alien from the eastern sectors. "Earth must be brought back, by force if necessary." "No," argued a small blue-skinned diplomat from the core systems. "They must come back by choice. Force will only turn them into enemies." Vrex clenched his teeth. This was not the outcome he had planned. He had thought humanity would bend under pressure. He had thought John Walker could be pushed into a quiet surrender. He was wrong. Now the council itself looked weak. If one world could defy them so openly, others might follow. It was a dangerous example, one Vrex had wanted to avoid at all costs. He slammed a silver staff against the floor. The sound echoed through the chamber, bringing a temporary silence. "We must not panic," Vrex said, his voice cold and sharp. "Earth has made its decision. Let them walk. They will regret it soon enough." Some delegates nodded, though their faces were pale with doubt. Others whispered among themselves, plotting new paths, forming new alliances. In the corridors outside the chamber, the news of Earth's withdrawal spread quickly. Guards, envoys, traitors, everyone talked about it. Some admired the humans' bravery. Others saw them as reckless fools. By the time John Walker and his team reached the docking bay, They could feel the shift in the air. No one tried to stop them. No one dared. Their ship, Unity, waited, ready to leave. Lieutenant Sarah Holt glanced around nervously. "They're afraid of us," she said quietly. John gave a small smile. "Good. Maybe now they'll start respecting us too." As the ramp lifted and sealed behind them, John allowed himself a moment of pride. They had not bowed. They had not broken. The galaxy had seen humanity's true face today. Not as conquerors, not as servants, but as equals. And no matter what storms were coming, Earth would meet them head-on. The engines of the Unity hummed steadily as the ship pulled away from the Galactic Council headquarters. Through the main window, the station grew smaller, a distant wheel of light spinning silently in the blackness of space. Commander John Walker stood on the bridge, hands behind his back, watching as Virex 9 and the Council station faded into the distance. "We're clear of Council space," Lieutenant Sarah Holt reported. Her voice was calm, but John could hear the pride in it. "Good," John said. He turned to his team who had gathered around. No one spoke for a moment. They all knew what they had done. They had made a choice that would echo across the stars. Earth had refused to be controlled. Now, they were on their own. Dr. Malik Reyes broke the silence. "Do you think we made a mistake?" John thought carefully before answering. "No," he said firmly. "We chose freedom. It won't be easy. There will be threats. There will be hardships. But our future will be ours to decide." Leah Chen smiled softly. "There will be others like us. Others who respect strength and honor. We will find our true allies." Captain Arjan Patel crossed his arms. "And if enemies come, they'll find Earth ready." John nodded. His heart felt heavy, but also strong. He thought of the billions of people back home, living their lives without knowing how close they had come to losing their future. He had protected that future, even if they never knew it. He moved to the communication panel and opened a channel to Earth. "This is Commander John Walker," he said. "Mission complete. Earth stands free." Static crackled for a moment. Then a clear voice answered from Earth Command. "Welcome home, Unity. We are proud of you." The words filled the bridge with quiet warmth. John looked once more at the endless stars ahead. Somewhere out there were dangers he could not yet imagine. But there were also new worlds, new allies, and new beginnings. Earth had taken its first true step into the galaxy, not as servants but as equals, as a force that others would have to respect. "Set course for home," John said. "Aye, Commander," Sarah replied. The Unity turned gently, its nose pointing toward the distant blue glow of Earth. A new path awaited them, full of uncertainty, but full of hope. Together they would face it. As the ship sailed into the dark, silent sea of stars, John Walker allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. They had done the right thing. No matter what came next, humanity would meet it, free, strong, and proud.